Insurance. Yes.
Are you insured?
Yes.
That's the first thing.
As some of my friends will say, I'm insured by the blood of Jesus.
Yes, sir. But now we're talking about the economy and the numbers of the economy.
You know, I think we'll get better understanding about this conversation with our guests. But suffice to say, at least for a start, we're talking about the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, which officially hits its strict July 31, 2026 recapitalization deadline yesterday, completely ruling out any further timeline extensions for insurance operators across Nigeria. Now, this legally mandated cutoff under the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act marks a massive regulatory transition towards a risk-based capital regime. Now, what exactly is the job of the National Insurance Commission and so many other issues that we'll be discussing this morning? Let's have it with our guests. Mr. Mayowa Adeyemi is Managing Partner, Mayowa Adeyemi & Co. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We also have, we'll be expecting the other guest who is supposed to join us this morning. For those who have no idea, thank you for joining us this morning, sir. For those who have no idea what we're talking about this morning, what does NICOM do? Well, we know that there are insurance companies here and there, but
NICOM is a regulatory body for insurance companies, registered insurance company in Nigeria.
Okay.
So they're just a regulator to monitor the insurance company and to make sure they follow the laid down rules and regulations as stated in the law.
Okay.
So that's their duty.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are those who wonder whether or not insurance really does work, because our topic this morning on this conversation is asking a question whether recapitalization can fix insurance claims settlements.
Definitely true. So at least to a certain extent, if there is proper monitoring and regulatory.
Have there been failures in the
definitely
industry?
There have been a failure in the past.
Talk to us about that.
Because in the past, getting claims by the people that took insurance is always very difficult for them to do. And more so, there's also this foul play, having fake insurance certificates and everything like that. But with this recapitalization, it's going to bring in those who could actually take up the real job of insurance. It gave them more capital base for them to be able to pay compensation as at when due. So that's an advantage of this recapitalization. Although it has its own disadvantage too, because probably the smaller insurance company will not be able to recapitalize based on the new share capital base. So but without recapitalization, definitely it will be easier for them to pay claims as at when due. So it gave them more pool of fund to be able to meet claims as at when due. I think that's an advantage of it. Although it's going to bring in some mergers too, because the bigger one might swallow the smaller ones.
Naturally.
So, and at the same time too, there's going to be loss of temporary jobs temporarily, most especially those insurance companies that were not able to recapitalize. But it's going to bring in foreign direct investment too, in one way or the other, because now they have more share capital base, and they might see some investors who are interested in coming to insurance sector, mostly on our Nigerian capital markets. So it's going to bring in foreign direct investments too. So there's a lot of advantage in this recapitalization, and I think it's a welcome development. And I think another thing again is that, you see, the level of compensation before is always an administrative procedure. But now I think this compensation now have been codified into the law. It has now become the law. Before, when you are making claims from insurance company, they can decide to delay, they can decide not to even pay you in time, and if you are a bigger firm, you might even go into court cases. You get which take longer period. But the current act now gave a deadline for claims and also stated certain amount. And they introduced another thing we call a protection fund for those who do not have insurance, most especially situation whereby we have this hit and run people and everything like that. I think it's a welcome development. I think it's new.
Okay.
I mean, it's very good initiative on the part of government, and it's going to even allow us, for instance, our insurance company now will be able to take some other risk, larger risks in the areas of oil sector, oil and gas. You know, in the past, it's mostly this foreign insurance company that normally covers that area because of the capital intensive and capital based. But now with these recapitalizations, they will be able to do it.
Okay.
And it also reduces the flight of investment, you know, because all those premium income goes to those foreign companies. But now, most of them will now stay in Nigeria.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, the deadline for recapitalization was yesterday. It was a hard stop to it. You've, painted a picture of some of the things that might have to be done in the industry to mop up, maybe companies that otherwise could have been left behind. So, what's the blueprint, going forward, apart from, the expected mergers and all that? What are the things that will have to be done to ensure that the industry stays strong and firm, and that the flight that you're talking about will not happen, that the monies will stay with Nigerian companies, and they'll be the better for it?
Well, I think the law has strengthened the powers of the NICON, and they have to really play their regulatory role very well, with proper monitoring of this insurance company. And I think again, maybe in future, because the way it is now, fine, there's a deadline of 60 days. They make sure, I think they even roll out that procedure guidelines that within 60 days, you must settle all claims. This thing that insurance company usually do, they will be telling you, okay, maybe it's after 40 days. Then I say, oh no, it's remain one paper. You get one document that you have to bring, So this one, they make sure that, look, whatever questions, whatever is outstanding, you must settle all claim within 60 days, But that also has its own penalty, has its own challenges to a policy holder, because you don't have anywhere to get recourse. You get what I'm trying to say? You have to report to the regulatory body, which is NICOM. You get what I'm trying to say? So NICOM can only just give queries and everything. Although the law also stated that now that, okay, where you don't settle in time, there's 500,000 charges and interest accrued on all claims. So to me, I think there should be more enlightenment, more education. You get what I'm trying to say? For the people to know the importance of insurance, and the insurance now is something that is of good thing to an average, either an industrialist or an individual. So the most important thing is implementation. How do we enforce that implementation? How does NICON make sure that they monitored all this insurance company now? And I think again, it's being driven, the insurance is not being driven by IT now, is now going towards technology and everything. So even claims and everything can be done online and everything like that. Then we can also verify most of the insurance paper now with NID. So they need to actually, I don't know, I'm not an IT person, but they need to make sure that NID is strengthened, doesn't allow for manipulations and everything like that.
Let's quickly bring in Dr. Adebayo Adedokun, who is a senior lecturer of public sector economics at the Obafemi Awolowo University. Thank you for joining us this morning, Doc.
Thank you, sir. My name is Professor Adebayo Adedokun, the Department of Economics, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ilefe.
Okay.
I've been following the preliminary. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, it sounds like you already have one or two things to say, so please go ahead, Prof.
Because I'm following the discussion between the two of you in the, you see, maybe a preliminary discussion as regards this, the Now, NIRA 2025 is a bold step that I think government should be commended, and also the giant stride of the National Insurance Commission. The basis is simple. Nigeria is going bigger, and then the way people are now understanding what insurance actually means is increasing compared to the way it used to be. Because 2025 alone, year in year, I mean the written premium rose by about 47.3%. That is about 1.3 average of approximately 1.3 trillion. But even with that, we discovered that the amount, I mean the debt of that in the economy is still very weak, low, because less than 1% of the GDP. So it means that now that we are growing, and then people are being sensitive to the importance of insurance, then there's need for solid preparation to be able to take control of the deepness and big economy like Nigeria. So having NIRA 2025 has really done that. Now, with the recapitalization, yes, as we have known that only few will survive, of course, and then the big one will chop the small one. But maybe before I stop at my preliminary note, preliminary statement, the consolidation does not actually translate to effectiveness, except if the National Insurance Commission is able to really be up and doing. Because one thing is to have the money, another thing is to be responsive. The Nigerian insurance, one thing to have the money, another thing is for the company to be responsive. How do I mean is that Nigerians are not really having so much confidence in insurance firms, because they will collect premium, or when it comes to the time for people to claim in the past, then you realize there is another story, trying to dodge it here and there. And because of that, many people believe to commit their life and their way in the hand of God, instead of taking it into the insurance firm. So, but with the new NIRA, I think if the National Insurance Commission could take the step, I think the fate of people could be enhanced. And that has to do with how people actually get their claim, including the company and then the big organizations that actually investing or putting their life at stake because of insurance they are actually paid for. Thank you.
But then there is also the issue of, okay, maybe I should ask you, what are your own thoughts about the whole idea of this whole risk capital framework thing being sufficient or not to insulate the Nigerian insurance sector from other broader macroeconomic shocks? Is it sufficient?
Every step ought to be a step at a time. You know that Nigeria experienced this kind of capitalization. The last time was 2005. There was another one which was aborted between 2019 and 2021. There was high level of resistance from the shareholders, lot of litigations, and then in the process of that, there was also this problem of the problem of COVID-19, and eventually it was suspended. Now, during that time, if you can still remember, the plan was to move from 2 billion capital base to, I mean, for the life insurance, to move from 2 to 8 billion, and then for the non-life and general insurance, to move from 3 to 10, I mean, from 5 to 10, then for the composite, to also move from 5 to 10, I mean to 15. Then for the reinsurance, they wanted to move from 10 to 20. You see, so during that time it was aborted. Now they are moving away from that, trying to see how the first 3 could be recapitalized for 100%. Moving from 2 directly to 10, and moving from 5 directly to 25. And then, I mean, from 10 to 15, 5 to 15, then moving directly from 3 to 15, then moving directly from 5 to 25, and then moving from 10 to 35. So with this from 2035, so we discovered that with that move, if it is more than that at this point, it's going to be very tough for those organizations or those businesses. Even with this 1 year notification that you should start from that was July 31st, 2025, and then the deadline yesterday, July 31st, 2026. Some people are even complaining that it was too short for people to really move from that level to the level of about 400% increase. And so to move, I mean, even for the insurance from the level of 10 to 35 billion. So it is first step, and it is good, and it's not once and for all. At the consolidate and spending, each of them might eventually recapitalize on their own, because now we are going to have fewer. And if you have fewer but solid and strong, and then people and the companies and the big organizations, they begin to have faith and strong faith in the insurance world, then it is good, because gradually then people will naturally people and the companies will naturally now go back to the insurance. At that level, the capitalization will be easier. Many people who could not even invest in the insurance world will now rethink and see the solid behavior and then the performances, and then be able to have better way of raising another fund that is higher than that. But at this point, I think that if they could achieve this one, then the economy will be on the safer side. Of course, not the once and for all. And then over time, we see the incremental rise in the capitalization, either effected or decision taken by the organization itself or themselves. Now, even currently, we have seen those who have already surpassed the level given to them, and because the composite insurance firm actually raised about 36 billion instead of 25 billion that is meant to raise, although many of them also couldn't meet up. So this is how it should be.
I think what matters here, my sincere apologies, Prof. I think what matters here ultimately is the Nigerian. Yeah. So if the industry, in your opinion, is insulated from the things that we have had, because the recapitalization of the banking industry was for this same reason. So if you think that that will help to insulate the Nigerian from all of these macroeconomic shocks, I think that's really, the beginning of the conversation. Dr. You have a question for Ms. Adi?
Right. So, I mean, with this, for forward-looking operators, the deadline had been set. The recapitalization has taken place mostly across board, and we've surpassed that deadline. We're now in August 1. How soon do you expect them to start deploying, this capital into product innovation, rather than just, regulatory compliance? Oh, go and recapitalize. Yes, sir, we'll do that. But I mean, there must be something beneficial to their operations as well. A lot of funding will come into place, which they need to do something with it. So how soon do they need to start deploying this for the benefit of themselves, and of course the Nigerians as well that are doing business with them?
Well, I would say immediately.
Right.
Because what this will brought about is competition. Because at the end of the day, we're going to have fewer insurance companies competing for the premium of average Nigerians. I mean, it's going to bring about competition, and because of this, definitely I expect all of them to start mobilizing their funds, bringing out different products. You get what I'm trying to say? Like now we have health insurance, which we don't have before. These are innovative products, and I'm sure they will start, because they have to make money. They have to justify that capital increase, and because of that, they need to start deploying a lot of products to the market for the people, and so that they can make a lot of premium. The more the more business you get, the more premium income you receive. So to me, I think they should just start deploying. Like rightly what he said, there are some that have even raised above the minimum, and I think that those people show their seriousness, and it shows that they are ready for business. Most importantly now, like we said, they will be able to take up those areas where foreign insurance company usually come in and takes and take the market from them. They too will be able to compete, without foreign companies, so they can now go into more technical area like oil and gas and everything. So I believe they are going to deploy their capital immediately to me, I know what I mean by immediately. I know that at least we should give them the next 3 months or 4 months before we start seeing maybe innovative products and everything like that. But like I said, since it's only few people that will remain, the competition will be very, very stiff. And more so, I'm sure the NICOM will make sure that, they are updoing by making sure that they meet the needs of the people in the area of insurance and everything. Mostly commercial insurance, business. I think now even the Greek insurance policies in place now is even part of the new act. So compulsory. So there are a lot of areas. So they are going to be deploying their resources into the area to be able to make more money and be able to report to their shareholders, and make their shareholders happy.
Right, and it seems to me, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, that this insurance, it seems to, I think it targets big guns like sectors. You talked about health sector, you talked about agri sector. I know that a lot of people, big businesses and big businessmen, let me say, wealthy Nigerians plugging more into this health, into insurance. But I know in other climes, in the US and the UK, insurance is big because it targets regular people. A lot of people do life insurance, they do all this other mini insurance, and that one grows the market a lot more. It seems to me that maybe a lot of Nigerians are not plugged into insurance. It's just the big tick insurance policies that are actually giving these insurance companies the businesses they have. What do you think? I'm not sure a lot of marketing. I've not really seen a lot of marketing targeted at regular people to actually get themselves insure their families, and some people will do it maybe for their children and all that. I don't really see a lot of that happening. I don't know. Maybe
I understand what you are trying to say, because I think most average Nigerians are more concerned about car policies, car insurance.
Yes,
and also because they know that if they don't have that, the VIO or the whatever is waiting for them on the road. And I think it has to do with, in short, the insurance company should focus more on the small, on individual and medium enterprise, because those are the ones that form the real bulk of the real productive sector. You understand me? So they should focus more. I think maybe they need to retrain their marketers, because you see them around. But at the same time too, they need to put fund into education. A lot of people see insurance as just normal government levy. They say make I pay, make I go pay. And that's why we had a lot of fake insurance paper in the past. But now that is compulsory, and I also suggest that, in short, when they want to, they should link their database to that one of even VIO to verify before they renew your vehicle paper, to see that you have genuine insurance paper. So the market is there for them. It's only for them to go out there, do more enlightenment, do more education, to tell the people the importance of having insurance. Now you are talking about the middle class, if there's any, anyway, the upper class, they know the power of insurance. And in the past, what discouraged many people was because of that claim. Essentially, they frustrated a lot of people on claims and everything like that. So this time around that there's an enforcement, there's a law that gives a deadline and everything. Maybe that one will encourage people now to buy the idea of having insurance, because a lot of people just know about few insurance policies. Most people don't even know about life insurance. Most people don't know about household insurance. Most people don't even know about fire insurance. So there's a lot of market for them. So they need to go in depth into the people and education. Education is and a lot of publicity, marketing. So when last do I saw see insurance advert on the telly? It's going to be a long time more. I think in those days of Niger Insurance and Nikon Insurance, I don't think I see such adverts again in recent times.
Let's bring this to you, Dr. Adetoko.
Professor.
Professor, apologies. Professor Adetoko, it seems to, let's talk about this, because the last time we talked about, insurance policies here on this program, we were trying to demystify the fact that, a lot of Nigerians, when they hear about maybe life insurance, they say, no, I don't want to die or something like that. When you hear that, and we're also talking about writing a will and all those kind of things. When you hear about you want to do a life insurance, it seems as if you're already writing your death certificate. Let's demystify that. Why do you think people, are not aching to take on these insurance policies in Nigeria? The regular people, the rural people, sometimes they need those things, because even at the end of the day, it's them or their families that benefit from it. From a social point of view, I'm asking you that question.
I think you have identified a very critical issue in the area of life insurance. The way some of these insurance companies who are either specializing or they are just operating it as a Compulsory, the way they go from office to office is actually changing people's mind as regards the issue of life insurance. And because they have several products now, we tell you that, okay, this one is just for your child, maybe your children's education, do this for each of them, and then in the next 5 years, this is how you will get back, because you will not die. But if peradventure you pay 1 month or 2 months and you die, the child will still have the complete amount for the 5 years. When they sit down with you and explain like this, then it becomes easier for people to get new orientation. But now saying that if you die, then this is what your people will collect. And Nigeria generally, with I don't know, in different level of cultural belief and understanding, and then the way we have lost our social capital in terms of trust. Some people will say they are not going to do life insurance, because if the person that will benefit is not actually a good child, or it's not even maybe wife or husband, what if he decides to poison me because of my insurance? And then better I don't even go for the insurance at all. But with the way education, the way these marketers are educating people, I think people are starting to change their mind, and knowing that they can still collect their money in their lifetime, if it is 3 years, 5 years. Gradually from that level, they can begin to do much more riskier life insurance. But it's not going to be just a day journey. In the developed country, they were born into it. In Nigeria, we are just growing our insurance sector. And then the orientation is changing. Because even the one that you did on your car or you did on your property, once there is a problem with your car or any property and the people refuse to pay, who tells you that people will believe that even if you die, the beneficiary will still be able to get the money? So, as has been said in the studio, there is need for the new act to actually be fully implemented by National Insurance Commission, so that the default rate will go down. And something we should commend also in this progress is that before they allow people to capitalize, all the claims that were outstanding must first of all be cleared. Believing that if you now have more capital and you still hold some claims, then there is problem. So it's a precondition in that act, which is commendable. So going forward with the implementation, and people are getting their claim, on those who are not even non-life, then I think the life also will get life.
Prof, how will this whole initiative, how will it restore public trust? I think that's an issue that Jaka is trying to even reference here. On the other hand, the one hand is educating people, and then when people have been fully educated, the assurance that they can get their claims without too much bottlenecks.
It's going to be this will be in two phases, or let's look at it from two different perspectives, or in succession or concurrently. One, the National Insurance Commission will first of all have to take the giant strides, ensuring that they give as much as they should be able to do to orientate people about the new policy, changing the face, the new act, changing the face and then the thinking and reasoning of people as regards the issue of insurance, either life or non-life. Okay? If they have played their own role effectively, and then the insurance firm under the oversight function of the National Insurance Commission they are forced to do the right thing in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, and there is new testimony, it is going to be, the second side is going to be one-on-one marketing. Because if I learn that somebody who insure car, the car got problem within 2 months or less than that, or 1 week or 2 weeks, the claim is received. I don't need any insurance company to come and market me or try to convince me. The best marketer anybody can have their customers. So once there is change in the attitude of customers who are currently with them, then they will market other people to join up. But if what they are speaking is discourages treatment, even whatever the National Insurance Commission tries to do in terms of public sensitization, we still discover that the whole thing will still not work out.
Okay.
So,
well, Mr. Adeyemi, all of this initiative is for the Nigerian.
Yeah.
Whenever, policies, recapitalization and the rest of it, the intention of government at that level is to build trust of the Nigerian in the industry. But just as you have also identified, even the insurance companies themselves, they don't seem to be putting out word the way they used to back in time. And so you may want to tell us why you think that is, because in a way, no matter how fantastically you're doing, if we don't know, you're winking in the dark to a fine babe, So how then do we build trust? He has spoken about the experience of Nigerians as the first marketing tool of any insurance company. But then it will seem like some insurance companies are more content with the legislation of compulsory insurance in some ways. That definitely isn't going to build trust, is it, in your opinion? What else do the companies themselves, the insurance companies themselves that are being regulated, need to do in support along the line as this recapitalization?
Well, maybe in the past they were not able to do much because of the level of capital they have, because they could not deploy maybe technology and all those stuff in the past. But with this recapitalization, I believe they should be able to do more. And like Riley said, even let me quickly just recap what he said. The law even says that where you have a lot of claimed that you have not settled, in short, they will not even give you a license at all. They will not even renew your license. Now, what thing just came to my mind also while we were discussing is this. Like the life insurance now, we now have different groups, maybe your old student groups, school, community, you get what I'm trying to say, encouraging people to take life insurance together, because one of those challenges, like Riley says, that when the thing happens, although apart from being tied to culture and all those things, but with enlightenment education, I think people are now buying into life insurance. So to me, they should even go out there and go to those community cooperative and encourage them to take insurance together. We have a lot of cooperative society, and at that cooperative, I don't think that some individuals that actually know about insurance. So they should extend their market to all those areas too. And this time around, because they have to make money, there must be return for the shareholders, return on investment for the shareholders. So I believe that they will now want to go out there and do more. And like I said, where there's competitions, you get what I'm trying to say, it will encourage some of them to do more and everything. So I think the whole thing boils down on them. Because any insurance company that do not perform, I think management that do not perform, maybe their shareholders should penalize them. Their shareholders should penalize them. So you need to now have justification for that increment. To me as an average shareholder of any insurance company, I expected a high level of a return on my investment. So for you to do that, you need to make more money. Okay. And for you to make more money, you need to go out there and get the business in.
Okay, well, so there is also the plan we hear of pivoting aggressively into enforcing compulsory insurance next.
Yeah, I think
for the Nigerian who is already squeezed, here and there. We've been talking about the economy all day. The Nigerian economy is growing, but the Nigerians' economy
feeling the impact.
Doesn't seem to be growing pari passu. So for those who are already squeezed that way, how do we compel them to make investment in something that they can trust God for, if I can put it that way?
To me, I think maybe the insurance company should actually devise a means of making it as simple for some people. I mean, in terms of the premium payment, the premium. You see, I think in the health insurance, it has a grade. And so also this particular compulsory one too. I mean, they can look at it, what and what, maybe they tie it to the minimum wages, that, okay, if your minimum wage is about 70,000, you should be able to pay an insurance of 1,000. And definitely, I think it's one of those things that are exempted. You'll be exempted for tax purpose. It's going to be part of the relief they will give you.
Yes.
So definitely, maybe that one we encourage. But an average downfall man, an average market pepper seller, how do you sell it to them? You have to make it simple for them. You have to make it cheaper for them. You get what I'm trying to say? So the premium should be something that we encourage them. They will see as, it should be just, so let me pay. And I think one of the challenges is they should make it per annum, because someone like me, one of those things that used to discourage me then was when you have to be paying every month and monthly and everything. At times you forget, so they have to do in a way that it will be cheaper in the sense that for them to make a loss, at least affordable. Let me use the word for average Nigerian. You see, you are talking about 1 trillion economy. The 1 trillion economy is not something that is going to trigger it. And when you have a 1 trillion economy and it's not insured, I mean, there is wahala. Even, you see, like I used to remember there was a time as an average agric person, a farmer, doesn't have any insurance that covered it because of the volatility of that industry. It's easy. You can have 1,000 or 2,000 cash fish tank and everything can die in one day. But now there is insurance, and most farmers is not even aware of this. You see, like what Ali said, to me, I can't be having 5 billion and not be able to, deploy it to make more money. So they need to. The most important thing is, like we said, is enlightenment, education.
It's back to the companies themselves.
What's the job of the management?
Yeah, Prof. Let me ask you this as we taper off this morning. In your opinion, how significantly or how much do you see a fully recapitalized insurance sector realistically contribute to Nigeria's GDP?
It depends. As I say that is calculating the GDP, they vary one way or the other because they are sectors that come together to form the GDP. The risk in each of the sectors, they differ. Now, the sector that dominates the risk level will have to contribute higher compared to those who are less risky. So if we want to give a unitary value and say, okay, this is the value it should be, then that will actually not be fair enough. It depends going forward how risky are some sector compared to another sector. So, but all together, what they are trying to recapitalize currently in entirety, if all of them are able to meet up, there are 58 of the insurance company that we said we have, is around 1 trillion naira for the recapitalization, okay, which they couldn't even be able to achieve for now. And if the premium paid year in year out of 2025 is around 1.2 billion naira, and which is less than 1% of the GDP, then I think we should know that for any GDP of that size, it will be very, very bad if you cannot get about 3%, 4% of the insurance penetration in that kind of GDP. So less than 1% is bad, 5% is okay. So, but now it depends on the size of the GDP at the given point. So let me put it in percentage terms, between 3% to 5%.
Yeah, sorry, can I think the insurance company too should pay good salaries. Because most of the people that work in that industry, they are not well compensated, and maybe that one too does not make the marketer more aggressive to pursue businesses and everything. Their salary modality too, I think is one of those challenges too. So they need to actually, now they have more fun, they should be able to pay their staff very well, and the marketers and probably those agents, increase their commission and everything. You know, you'll be motivated when you know there's going to be more money to you.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there any operational
guideline
challenge that you think the companies themselves, or rather that you think the operator, the regulator needs to moderate so that life is a little easier for the operators?
Well, the NICON themselves, they should sit down with the insurance company and deploy. I think they have to look for a way of making use of the technology very well. You know, because averagely now, I think even if you don't have an app, I mean, all these insurance companies can even have an app to make life easier. Then NICON itself, you know, should be very upcoming, regular monitoring, getting reports. You know, got up time to say, okay, look at NCC. There are times you have a phone call drop, you hold this down, and they are regulators. You get what I'm trying to say. I hope every one of them will now be more, you know, forthcoming and make sure that whatever they are regulating, they should monitor them regularly and be sincere. Be sincere.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. Mr. Mayowa Adeyemi is Managing Partner, Mayowa Adeyemi & Co. We've also had Professor Adebayo Adedokun, Senior Lecturer, Public Sector Economics at the Obafemi Awolowo University. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Prof.
Thank you.
Yes. When we send people to go and play sports for us, I don't know whether we insure their lives or their legs or their whatever.
We should insure the expected medals that they get, so that
don't mind her.
So that will not be shocked.
Everything about woman is gold and silver. We'll be right back to talk about Glasgow.
Oh my goodness.